Hello everybody and welcome back to Benchwarmer Sports. So in this video, I'm going to be letting you guys know who are my top prospects for the Cleveland Browns here in the upcoming 2023 NFL Draft. I'm going to be giving you guys my analysis of what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks about all of the different prospects who I am interested in for the Cleveland Browns to get. There's definitely one or two prospects here that I'm going to mention that I definitely think the Browns probably will draft because they definitely seem like an Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski pick. But there are a lot of different prospects that I will be mentioning here in this video. So if you guys are new and you like these types of videos, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so we're slowly but surely getting there. So if you guys are new and like this type of content, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you are a Browns fan, type down in the comment section below who you guys want the Browns to pick at pick 43 here in the second round. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So if you guys do not know, if you guys are not Browns fans, or if you guys just haven't paid attention, the Browns have a couple of positions where they definitely need some new bodies at that position. Okay, so their biggest position that they need is interior defensive line or defensive tackles. Okay, that is their biggest need. Okay, second would probably be linebacking depth. They got injured way too much at linebacker last year. I think they had 4 season-ending injuries last year at linebacker alone. So we definitely need some linebacking depth. We also need some safety depth as well. With Ronnie Harrison being a free agent, I definitely don't see them re-signing him. John Johnson has been inconsistent since he's been here. And Grant Delpit was really good at the end of last year, but he was really shaky to begin the 2022 season. And also, we definitely need a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2. So those are the main 4 positions where the Browns definitely need to address here in the draft. Okay, so at pick 43 in the second round is the Browns' first pick. I definitely think there's one player that makes the most sense if they want to get a defensive tackle. Okay, and that one player, unfortunately for Buckeyes fans, is a Michigan player, and his name is Mazi Smith. Okay, Mazi Smith from the University of Michigan, defensive tackle, really strong. Okay, he's a very strong defensive tackle, very effective as well. He's great against the run, good pass rusher as well. The only problem is that bit slow off the jump, so when the ball's snapped, kind of takes him a minute to get himself set. It takes a minute to get him into the action. Okay. The other thing is that he does have off the field issues. He has I think he was indicted for a possession of a firearms offense back in 2019, I think. So he definitely has some history with that, with the law enforcement. So I definitely think that, he is a good candidate for 43. I definitely think if they're going to go for defensive tackle depth, it all predicates on what they do in the offseason. So if they go and get Daron Payne or DeForest Buckner, I definitely think they want to shore, one person in the draft to address that need. Now there's another defensive tackle where who I'm very interested in. If they don't go defensive tackle route here at 43 or in round 3, there's somebody who I am really interested in where they can get maybe in rounds 4 through 6. I definitely think that there's a player that they can get in the back rounds for that. But I think Mazi Smith is a good solid pick here at 43 for the Browns, and I would not be mad if they did take him. But if they don't want to pick him, there's also some other candidates as well. So say they don't go with defensive tackle. Say they get Daron Payne or they get DeForest Buckner or somebody else in free agency, and they kind of want to roll the dice with Perion Winfrey or Jordan Elliott or Taven Bryan again. God forbid, right? Let's say they want to go maybe opposite Myles Garrett, give him some more help with Jadeveon Clowney burning all the bridges, this offseason. I definitely think there's one player that I would be very interested in. Maybe not at 43, but maybe in rounds 3 or 4. That player is Andre Carter II. Now, he's from the Army. This guy came in to the Army around 6'5", 210 pounds, okay? Coming in as a wide receiver and tight end. This guy grew 2 inches and gained 50 pounds of muscle since joining the Army. This guy is 6'7", 260 pounds. He is insanely athletic. He is very smart. Hasn't played defensive end that long, but he is a great pass rusher. He is a really good pass rusher, knows how to use his size very effectively. The only problem is that he does tend to overshoot on runs, does get out of position a little bit on running plays, especially. But the good thing is that he does really well against read option type offenses. So especially if the Browns are facing Baltimore twice a year with Lamar Jackson and a bunch of other running quarterbacks like Tyler Huntley, who like to run read options and running plays as well, he has done really well against those types of offenses because he's played against offenses like Air Force who have run those plays a lot. So I definitely think he's a candidate too on the other side of Myles Garrett. The only thing that I'm hung up on is, do the Browns want to spend another high draft pick on a defensive end since they've already drafted Alex Wright from UAB last draft? So I don't know how high they are on Alex Wright. I would tend that they are high on him, but I think Andre Carter does give you a lot of bang for his buck. And for Jim Schwartz, whose main focus is to get to the quarterback, you have a guy in Andre Carter who has shown he likes to get to the quarterback, who can diagnose read option plays, who can get to the quarterback on those plays, and it can be very effective for offenses like Baltimore, maybe even offenses like Cincinnati, because Joe Burrow runs the ball sometimes as well. But Andre Carter, I think he's definitely somebody to look at, especially in rounds 3 and 4. But say the Browns don't want to go defensive tackle, they don't want to go defensive end, say they want to go linebacker. I think there's a player that's been getting a lot of attention recently, especially on Browns Twitter. I think he's definitely my top guy for linebacker. If you do want to get somebody a linebacker at 43, that is Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. Now, Drew Sanders, he's a little bit undersized for his position. I definitely think that, he's definitely very explosive. He can be moved around. He's just a little undersized. He gets himself out of position a little bit too, from what I've seen, and from what I've been, reading from a lot of different scouts. He does get out of position. He likes to run head on into blocks. And he kind of gets lost in the sauce a little bit, especially when it's passing plays to running backs. Has a little bit of trouble with, getting rid of, he has a little bit of trouble with, running backs, and that just loses them, in the mix of everything. But he is really good at recognizing screens and flats. He's a really good QB spy, very quick, good lateral movement. I definitely think he can be used as a man cover and a QB spy, excuse me. There's another linebacker who I've seen has been getting a lot more, smoke and, sparks recently. It's been Jack Campbell out of Iowa. The only problem with him is that he's more of a zone defender. Drew Sanders is more of a man-to-man QB spy linebacker. And I saw a lot of people comparing him to Joe Schobert. I definitely can see the comparisons with that. The only thing is that Joe Schobert was a little bit better. I think he's a little bit better than what Browns fans have been getting credit for. Yes, I know a lot of his tackles came from 10 yards down the field, but I definitely think Drew Sanders is a possibility here at 43, maybe even in the 3rd round. But again, say the Browns don't want to go defensive at all, okay? Say the Browns they want to bolster the offense. They want to give help for Deshaun Watson. They have Amari Cooper. They have Donovan Peoples-Jones. But we need somebody else. We need a slot corner that can just absolutely take the tops off of defenses, can give us a real vertical threat, because Anthony Schwartz, not that guy. He's, like I said, he's not a football player. He's a track star. He's not a football player. David Bell is kind of like, he's not fast. He's not really going to do that much. He didn't really have that much of an opportunity to show what he can do last year. He's more of your possession receiver, just like Amari Cooper, in my opinion. But there's one guy I think that can be worthy of the second round pick if you don't want to go defensively. If the Browns do not want to go defensively at all, there's only one receiver I think you need to go and get at 43, who I think is worthy of the 43rd pick, if he's still there. If he's still there, that's the condition. If he's still there, that's Josh Downs from North Carolina. This guy is insane. He's really, really good, very fast, knows how to play receiver, knows that he's a very good vertical threat, and yet he still succeeds at being a vertical receiver. He goes and he gets the ball at the high point. He is very good in man-to-man coverage. He can fight with receivers. He can get separation. Does a very good job at getting the ball where the ball has to get caught, okay? Very quick, good route runner. The only thing, he's a little bit small. He's around 5'10", all right? He's 5'10". He's a very good route runner. Great hands. Can catch pretty much almost anything if the ball is near him. He's a ball magnet, okay? And I think that's what the Browns desperately need. They need somebody to take the ball, or take the tops off of defenses, make the defense in the secondary scared that Deshaun Watson can throw the ball over top of the safeties, and we have somebody who can get open, okay? Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, unfortunately, aren't that. They're very good receivers, but we need somebody who can take the tops off the defenses. And Josh Downs, single-handedly, is worthy of the 43rd pick, in my opinion. If he is picked, I would be happy. Seriously, I would be ecstatic if we take Josh Downs at 43. I definitely think there's one other receiver who I would be perfectly fine with in the later rounds if they don't want to go Josh Downs, or if Josh Downs is taken. But I think Josh Downs will be a great receiver in the NFL. His pro comps are Jahan Dotson and Tyler Lockett, who are really good receivers in the NFL. Tyler Lockett, especially, one of the best slot receivers in the NFL. So I think Josh Downs would be a great pickup for the offense, but I understand if they don't want to take, if they don't want to take a receiver at 43, and instead they want to focus on giving Jim Schwartz all the weapons that he can get. So, in my opinion, I definitely think that Mozzie Smith is probably going to be the pick. Maybe they take somebody like, the one guy from Florida. I'm blanking on his name now. Or the guy from Baylor, Siaki Ika. The only problem with Siaki Ika is that he's very overweight. He's like 358 pounds, and he's not an every down player. So I think that's a problem that, if the Browns do pick him, that's definitely going to be an issue for me. But, I definitely think that Mozzie Smith is a good pick at that slot. So if they are going to pick defensive tackle, I would definitely go for either, or defensively, in my opinion, instead. If they go defensively, Andre Carter II, Mozzie Smith, those are my two guys for rounds 2 and 3. Those would be who I would pick. Or I would pick Drew Sanders. I think Drew Sanders would be just as good. But I think Mozzie Smith, overall, probably the safest pick at 43 for the Browns. Now, say they don't get, say they get, Mozzie Smith, but they still want to get another defensive tackle, okay? But they're in the later rounds, rounds probably 4 through 6. Say they're in that area. You're in like round 4. There's one guy who I would take, I definitely think would be really, really good. His name, if I can find my cursor here. His name is Keanu Benton from Wisconsin. Keanu Benton is extremely good. He's an extremely good player. I definitely think he's very underrated. I would be shocked if he gets out of day 2, especially the later portion of day 2. So the later end of the 3rd round. If he's there at the 4th round or the 5th round, I'm taking him. I'm taking Keanu Benton in the 4th or 5th round. He is a very good run defender. He can plug up the lane. He's also a really good pass defender. He can get his hands up surprisingly quick for his size. The only problem is that he's not that great of a pass rusher. He definitely needs to be, refined. He needs to refine his tools, needs some development. That's why I think if he's there in the 4th or 5th round, it would be an insane value for the Browns to go and pick him up, because I just think that his upside is tremendous. I just definitely think that if Keanu Benton is sitting there in rounds 4 or 5, you need to go get him. I definitely would go get him. The guy can just take up space, and that allows your linebackers or your edges to go up and get the quarterback, go up and get the running backs, okay? The guy can plug up the lane. You don't necessarily need your defensive tackle to go and go and get to the quarterback. As much as Jim Schwartz wants him to, if he can plug up the lane, he can be a really good defensive tackle, especially if the Browns say they go out and get Daron Payne or DeForest Buckner. If you get Keanu Benton along with Daron Payne or DeForest Buckner, I feel like that's a win. I would be very happy. If they pick Josh Downs at 43, or Drew Sanders at 43, you get Daron Payne in the offseason, and then you take Keanu Benton in the 4th or 5th round. That's a dream for me. That really is. If you can get Josh Downs at 43, you get Andre Carter in the 3rd round, and then you can pick up Keanu Benton in the 4th or 5th round. Again, there's so many players in this draft who I am really happy with, who I think the Browns can definitely pick up, who can be immediate. I definitely can. I think Keanu Benton might need a little bit of time to get to his potential, but he can be an immediate impact on the running defense, especially in that front 7, and it can allow the linebackers, to just feast on running backs. And that's why I think Keanu Benton, if he's there in 4th or 5th round, once again, if he's there in the 4th or 5th round, take him. Take him. Now, another receiver, if you don't go Josh Downs in the early rounds, okay? If you don't go Josh Downs, there's another receiver I definitely think would be my second choice. And he is from the University of Oklahoma. I am talking about one Marvin Mims. 5'10", very, very good. He's very good. I definitely think he's going to be here around the 4th or 5th round. I would be very shocked if he's past. I'll probably say I'll be shocked if he's past the 4th round. That would be me. That's why if you can get Keanu Benton and Marvin Mims, I'd be very happy with those picks too. Marvin Mims, very good, can get away from cornerbacks, can make some pretty good catches. I think he had 20 yards per reception. Very good with the ball in his hands. Good, gets very good yak. The only problem is that he has a little bit of trouble getting separation, a little bit. So if coverage is going to be a little bit tighter in the NFL, it'll be a little bit interesting to see how he can get away from that. But his pro comp was Darnell Mooney from the Chicago Bears. Solid receiver, but I definitely think Marvin Mims is a solid pickup if you can get him early on in day 3. That would be my second choice at receiver. Now, I saw some people saying Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss would be good. I don't know. I'm kind of in between on Jonathan Mingo, but if I had to pick between two different receivers who the Browns should go and pick up, I think Josh Downs definitely at 43. I think Marvin Mims is another solid pickup at, either later on in day 2 or early day 3. I think you can't go wrong with him. But there's also another player, I think, if you want to go defensive tackle, not necessarily going to be a impact player to begin with. I definitely think he has some room to grow. He's more of a developmental project, but I definitely think he would be a worthwhile investment, probably mid day 3, probably around a 5th or 6th round pick. I definitely would take Ade Adebawore. I probably butchered his name, I'm sorry. But from Northwestern, he's a defensive tackle. He has some experience playing as a defensive end, especially in college. The only thing is that he hasn't done as well getting to the quarterback as the defensive end. They moved him inside early on last year, and he did very good, okay? Now, he has some trouble with his 5 technique and 1 technique. He's better at the 3 technique. But in my opinion, I think if you can line him on inside, not as an every down player, but maybe as a rotational player, that's why I think maybe mid day 3 pick, around 5 through 6. I think he'd be a solid pickup too, as well. Now, if I had to pick between Keanu Benton and Adebawore, I'd probably take Keanu Benton just because I think he has more of an upside than Adebawore. But I definitely think if they do take him, he wouldn't be a bad pick. It just would take some time for him to get situated. I just definitely think he needs some more time to develop his game, especially on the inside. But if you need somebody to go as a defensive end for some depth, he has some experience on the edge. So I definitely think he'd be a solid pickup, but not anywhere earlier than round 5, in my opinion. I think round 5 to 7, that's where he'd probably be the best time to pick him. But that's just me. Now, the one player I definitely can see the Browns picking up, especially for safety depth, since Ronnie Harrison is leaving this year as a free agent. I definitely don't see the Browns re-signing him. There's a safety from Notre Dame named Brandon Joseph. Brandon Joseph, he's a pretty good player. He is 6 foot tall, so he's a pretty good safety, pretty good size for a safety. Very, very smart. He is very smart. Only gave up about 80 yards on 17 targets to receivers that were in his area. So he's a ball hawk. Very, very good safety, especially as a robber. I know that when they play him as a robber, he's very good. Can just create turnovers like crazy. Definitely not as high on other people's boards. Kind of confused about that, in my opinion, because he seems like a really good safety. I can definitely see him going in the 5th to 7th rounds. That's why I said I definitely can see Andrew Berry taking him in like the 6th round. I think that he'd be a really good pickup as a safety for the Browns, especially as like a 3rd string safety. I think he'd be terrific. Now, the only thing is that are they going to, pick somebody up in free agency? I don't know. But I think if they want to take somebody in the draft who is a really good, ball hawk, who can, get interceptions, create turnovers, which the Browns were definitely lacking in last year. They did not have that many turnovers. They did not force that many turnovers last year. I definitely think Brandon Joseph is a really solid pickup, especially in the 6th or through the 5th through 7th round. If he's there at the safety position, you definitely need somebody as a 3rd stringer. I would take Brandon Joseph if they want to go with a safety. Okay. Now, I'll probably give you guys my honorable mentions. Jack Campbell from Iowa. I think he'd be really good. He's the Dick Butkus Award winner for the best linebacker in college football. Very good, very strong. The only problem is that he's not a good man coverage linebacker, and Jim Schwartz likes to play man coverage a lot. So I don't think he's that. I don't think he's going to be the Browns' target. I think he'd make more sense for other teams, but I don't see him coming to the Browns. Another receiver would be Jaden Reed from Michigan State. Pretty good as well. Good vertical threat. The only problem is that he's kind of plateaued, and he's going to be a 23-year-old rookie, so he's a little bit older. I think he'd be fine as well, maybe in the 4th or 5th round. But personally, I would take Josh Downs or Marvin Mims over him. Jonathan Mingo's another receiving option from Ole Miss. Not that high on, in my opinion. Again, Marvin Mims, Josh Downs, those are probably my 2 picks for receivers. But I definitely think the Browns have a lot of good options here. I definitely think a lot of the players that I have mentioned would be really good for this team. But that's going to be it for me, guys. Those are my top prospects that the Cleveland Browns should look at here for the 2023 draft. Once again, guys, if you have made it this far in the video, thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new and you like this type of content, hit the subscribe button. I do pretty much these videos every single week. So if you guys are interested and like this type of content, once again, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're slowly but surely getting there. And we're at 523 right now. But slowly but surely we're getting there. Once again, guys, if you are a Browns fan, drop down in the comment section below who you guys want the Browns to pick. It's going to be a very interesting couple of months until we get to the draft. And I can't wait. We got the Super Bowl coming up here next Sunday. A lot of stuff going on. Yep, thank you guys for watching once again. I'll see you guys all in another video. Take care.